And welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And welcome to day 4 of my Battle Royale Festival. And we are going to now talk about Triggered. Now, if you watched my introduction, you saw that I really absolutely fucking adored this movie. This movie was so good and so gory and so slasheristic. Fantastic. I love the kills in this movie. This movie is so underrated. I wish it had a Blu-ray. I might just have to buy another copy of the DVD just to make sure I always have it. But, yes, this movie is definitely, like I said, it's definitely way, way, way over on the horror slasher side of the Battle Royales. Is that an axe? Yeah. Notice the axe. Pretty good indication that this is pretty slasherific. But Triggered was released in 2020, so it's a relatively new Battle Royale. Glad to see people are still making Battle Royales, traditional Battle Royales. It was directed by Alastair Orr. It was written by David D. Jones and Alastair Orr, and it stars Reine Swart, Reine Swart, Russell Crous, and Liesl Ahlers. Nobody's even got an accent in this movie. What are those names, man? Liesl? L-I-E-S-L. Liesl Ahlers? I'm getting fascinated by shit I shouldn't. Moving on. This movie opens, we see a horribly bloody man tied to a tree. And he's got some kind of device strapped to his chest. That thing right there is strapped to his chest. What it looks like is like, it's over the shoulders, around the back. It looks like a bulletproof vest, but it's like got those lights on it, and it's got a big readout screen, and it's a timer and stuff like that. It's very, very cool. So he's got one of those strapped to his torso, and there's this really upset guy standing over him, going, "I'm so sorry that I had to bring you into this, but, it just had to be done, blah, blah, blah." And then he stabs him and runs away. So as he's running away, the stabbed guy, is like screaming and crying, "Help me, don't do this." And the last thing that he says before that intro cuts out is, they're just kids. So then we see a campfire, and we see our Pretty People in Peril group, which is Ryan, a girl, Kato, Aaron, PJ, Ezra, Amber, Cece, Shay, and Bobby. So we've got a nice, healthy little group here. Girls are nice looking, guys are cute. Very good group of Pretty People in Peril for the most part. A couple of them I'd have to knock out and shave that stupid dog's ass shit off their face, but no, I'm not going to go into that. But so we see them, and they're talking about memories and stuff like that, because it turns out these are all high school friends, and this is the 5-year reunion of their high school graduation, and they have been taken by Bobby out into it's about 30 miles away from town, because there's a big festival and there ain't nowhere to stay. So they're way out in the middle of nowhere, about 30 miles from town. So you can tell that Ezra and which one is it? Yeah, no, Cece. Yeah, that's who it is. I was just trying to think of who Ezra's girlfriend was. Cece is his girlfriend. But they're bitching, about Cece because she gets up and storms off. She's being real catty and bitchy. And they're all talking about, how vengeful she is and what she had done to one of the teachers, which was horrible in school. She had, because he put her in detention for talking on her phone or texting on her phone, she actually swatted him by putting a profile on a pedo website for him and got him in trouble and fired and all of that. So that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, oh, that was that fucking dude that we saw in the intro, right? The one that was obviously Mr. Vengeance. That sounds like something you would want revenge for. So, they're talking about that. This is the group's 5-year reunion, various remembrances and interplay, some really funny dialogue. I'll stop right there to talk about it. I have the Blu-ray for Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. If you've ever seen Bodies, 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 this Millennium slasher. The Millennium dialogue was so... I like Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I like the movie fine, but there's a lot of the dialogue that just makes me want to cut my own throat from right here to right here. This movie is another Millennium slasher type movie, but the dialogue is fucking awesome. They did what Bodies, Bodies, Bodies tried to do with all of that silly, the weird dialogue that they had in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies that made you want to kill all of them painfully. They did it in this movie, but they did it excellently. It's funny. I mean, a lot of the stuff that they say is just relatable, very funny, gets you a laugh, So I was really surprised by that. If Bodies, Bodies, Bodies had their dialogue like this movie did, the millennial dialogue, all of the references and pop culture references and stuff. If they had did it like this movie did, Bodies would be a masterpiece. Instead of a 7 out of 10, it would have been an 8 out of 10. That dialogue in Bodies is just awful. But they did it perfectly in this movie. So, very funny dialogue. They all wind down, get tucked in, they go to bed. Erin goes out into the woods to potty, and a guy attacks her and knocks her out. She wakes up, and she notices, she's back at the camp. And she wakes up and notices that everybody is also knocked out. And they all start waking up. She had been knocked out with blunt force, but everyone else had been knocked out with gas. And there was this gas cans, not sarin gas, but you know what I'm talking about. Some kind of gas that will knock you out. And so they had all been gassed. And her and everyone else has those devices on their torsos. I'd love to have one of those too, because you could go as one of these characters, for Halloween or something. It was very cool. But so they've all wearing those devices, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And they can't get them off. I mean, they're pulling, pushing. I bet they will not come off. And that's when a dude shows up, and we notice that it's that guy from the intro that had that guy tied to a tree. So he shows up, and they recognize him as Mr. Peterson. So Erin asks if ask him if this is about Caleb. Now, we had heard someone mention something about a boy named Caleb a couple of times during all of their talking and remembrances, but other than it being a touchy subject, you didn't really have any idea what relevance it had. So she asked him, is this about Caleb? And he says, no, it's about them. He activates the devices and then tells them that I watched my son die. My wife dosed herself into suicide. And then he tells them that only one of you will leave these woods alive. The one with the most time. Because he had this little diatribe about, all the time that was taken away from him. The time with his son, the time with his wife. So, only one of you will leave these woods alive, the one with the most time. Then he just turns his gun up to his face and blows his brains out. That's when they notice, after they finish screaming, of course, because that was ugly. This is a very gory movie, I'm going to just tell you. All practical, too. There's no CGI in this movie. It's all really good, practical, blood guts effects. You know what I'm saying? So, after they get over the screaming about, oh my gosh, what did we just watch? They start trying to figure out what's going on. They realize that all of their cars are gone. And there's a bucket with all of their phones in it, and they've all been destroyed. So they notice that each person, when they look at their things on the timer, each person has like between 20 to 50 minutes. Like one of them's got 28, one of them's got 32, one of them's got 47, one of them's got 29. So they've all got a different time, and they're counting down second by second by second. So they, of course, still aren't quite sure what that means. I mean, would you? What's going to happen when it goes to zero? I imagine it'll be something bad, but you don't know for sure, right? So as they're talking about this situation and what they're in, they start trying to figure out, what could this be? What is this? What's going on? What is this? They also notice that Bobby is gone. Now, Bobby's the one who found this place. Bobby's the one who directed them to this place. So he's gone, and they start, kind of figuring out that he helped get us out here. He's working with Mr. Peterson. So they start searching the woods to find something, a car, Mr. Peterson's car, right? Because he just blew his brains out. So it must have an auto somewhere. He's got to have a car. He didn't go take it home and then walk 30 miles back out here, right? How did he get here? So they start looking for a car, maybe, something. When they hear a noise and they find Bobby. And Bobby has got one on him, and he's chained to a tree. Now, he's not the guy that was chained at the tree at the beginning. He's, he's free to move from the tree. He's just got a chain around his ankle. So he's chained to the tree, like that guy was in the intro. And, they start accusing him of being involved. He finally admits that Peterson had made him do it by having something to blackmail him with, but that all he told him was that he was bringing them out there to confront them about Caleb, whatever that's going to mean. Said that he was being blackmailed, and that the rules were, and what the rules were. Rules? Let me see. Oh. So he tells them what the rules are, and that is that the timers are going to go down and something bad's going to happen. So Shay lets him go despite the others telling her not to. But he immediately like pulls out a knife because this other guy was like cussing him out and stuff. There's fantastic bitching between these people. So this guy was like calling him all kind of names and bitching him out. So he grabs a knife, and the first thing he does is he tries to attack that guy. You know, but he like dodges out of the way, and they jump him, and you know he's gonna stab the guy, but they knock him to the ground and crap like that. Now he didn't have but like 2 minutes left on his timer, unlike all of them. So we needed an example, right? So when they knock his ass down, get the knife away from him, you know, what the fuck are you doing and stuff like that, that's when he starts screaming because his timer runs out. His vest turns red like that and screams, well, I think he says something like, oh shit, or something like that, and then he blows the fuck up. I mean, it like blows his ass into 3 pieces that look like something out of John Carpenter's The Thing. You know, like really that in your face with it. It's not no cutaway scene. So there's like big chunks of him laying there. And this, of course, lets them know exactly what's going to happen when your timer runs out. As you can imagine, their perspective changes a little bit at that point. And of course, they all run in various directions. You know, Ezra and Cece, they all run in different directions. Ezra, tries to use a crowbar, but he can't get it off. PJ accidentally kills Shay. How did that happen? Oh yeah, him and PJ and Ryan are together. Like, he was actually going to propose to her out there during this trip. So they, of course, ran off together, and Shay, she comes out of the woods, because they've all just had the shit scare out of them, right? So she comes running out the woods and gets up behind PJ and crunches, you know, and he turns around and hits her with a crowbar, but not on purpose. You know, it's just like survival instinct. And I'll be damned if she doesn't fucking die right there. You know, it was like this big giant hole in her head and shit from the crowbar. And they're showing all this. So she dies right there, and we get to see the second part of this contraption. And that is that when she dies, all of a sudden her suit goes dead, and his makes this funny noise, and all of the time that she had remaining on hers transfers to him. So instead of having like 32 minutes on his timer, it like jumped up to 57. This told them, if you kill someone, you get their time, making a motive. The more time you have, the longer you're going to live before you're blown to pieces like Bobby was. So that's fucked up. So Cece is listening from the woods. The bitch, you know, she's listening from the woods as this happens, and they figure that out. And she starts arming herself because now she knows the kind of shit that's going to go on once everybody finds out that you get more time. You get the other person's time if you kill them. So they all take off. She then attacks the group, and they all take off. Aaron and Ezra team up to try to find the road. you have PJ and Ryan back at the camp. Cece is running low on time. So she gets a knife, catches Amber and Kato. She starts that. That's a funny scene. The reason that scene is so funny is because Cece had been mad this whole time. The reason she was such a bitch at the campfire was because she suspected Ezra of cheating on her. Not only did she suspect him of cheating on her, but she suspected it was somebody here. Well, when she attacks Amber and Kato, trying to get some time, because she's the lowest, she starts to kill Kato. Well, Kato turns around and rats on Amber, telling her that it's Amber that was screwing her boyfriend Ezra. And it's so funny because, you know, when Cece has her back to Amber looking at Kato, and Kato's telling her all this, you know, Amber's like behind her, like going, goes like, "You're ratting me out, motherfucker." It was like, I can't believe in this situation that she didn't think Kato would do that. I'm just like, don't kill me. That's the bitch that was fucking your boyfriend. And she's standing behind her like going, what's up, man? Snitches get stitches, right? I mean, she's like, so she's like pretty upset about it. But of course that makes Cece like turn around and be like, okay, bitch. I see who. All right, okay, Kato, that's fine. I'm gonna kill this bitch right here. So, he rats her out to keep Cece from killing him instead of her. She does end up stabbing Amber, but then Amber pulls the knife out and then cuts Cece's throat, and I mean good. And like I said, no cutaways. This is all in your face. And gets her time. So Amber gets Cece's time on her thing. And this lets them know how this shit works. Because you see, they're all like in pretty much like three different groups. So PJ and Ryan had figured this shit out. Now Amber and Kato have figured this shit out because Cece's time went to Amber. And the kill scenes are like very, very Friday the 13th slasher type, you know. So her and Kato start deciding that they can kill all of the rest of them and they could win. So they're like the evil duo in this. Ezra and Aaron find the guy that we saw at the intro turns out to be Ryan's dad, right? And he was the guy at the movie intro. So Ryan, that's her dad. That's why he was screaming they were just kids. So that Mr. Peterson had went and got Ryan's dad and brought her out there, and I think it's because he knew what Mr. Peterson suspected had went on with his son Caleb. He thinks that Ryan's dad, who used to be a cop in the town, was part of the cover-up. So now's when you're going to find out the backstory about this Caleb thing. What is this Caleb thing about? So you're fixing to learn like the whole motive for this shit. So he tells them that Caleb had 5 times the lethal dose of speed in his system when he died. That it wasn't the heart attack that the cops said it was, that it was actually a huge, giant drug overdose that could only have been intentional. So, despite the fact that they knew that he had been either accidentally or intentionally murdered by someone, they kind of covered it up for these college students. So Peterson was sure that someone was dosing him for some reason and had killed him So that's why all this is taking place. Because it caused his wife to commit suicide, his son died, and whomever he believes of this group, he didn't know who, but he believes someone did this, so he got them all. So Cato is after PJ and Ryan. PJ goes to talk to him and they fight. Amber attacks Ryan. Cato gets the axe. PJ hammers Cato's leg. I'm telling you, trust me, you're a fucking horror slasher fan, these fucking fights and kills are amazing. Ezra gets the bullets from Mr. Miller's pocket, Ryan's dad. But then ends up shooting him, which was kind of shitty. But at the same time, the man had like 10 minutes on his timer and he was bleeding out. I don't know. You kind of wondered about that one. You're like, well, I can understand. I mean, he was 2 minutes from death. I don't know. I don't know. Every second counts, right? So the time, of course, went to Ezra. Ezra leaves, says he knows who killed Caleb. Tells her, who was he with, Aaron? Tells her to get her ass back to camp and see if she can find maybe, because now they know why all this happened. So they're like, Mr. Peterson's got to have another remote. Maybe they can cut it off or something like that. So, yeah. So, find Aaron. She tells them about her dad. When Ryan and PJ end up finding Aaron, she tells them about her dad being over there. She does not tell them that Ezra killed him, though. She just says that they died. They do manage to get back to the camp. They do find another detonator on Mr. Peterson's body at the camp, just like what they figured might be there. So Aaron goes to help Ezra. Ezra finds Cato, and they have this big face-off between Ezra and Cato. So Aaron finds Amber, and she tries to kill Aaron when she finds her. So Amber is trying to kill her, and Cato is now facing off with Ezra. Well, Cato manages to kill Ezra. Ugly, too. I mean, ugly. PJ ends up saving Aaron from Amber, but Cato arrives and then shoots. I put shoots stupid PJ, and I put deserved it legit, because let me tell you what happened. Cato starts talking all this, but he's our friend, he's my bro, he's my bruh, and all that shit. And it's the only time that I was like, I thought I was going to like everybody in this movie. I mean, for one reason or another. But the decisions, PJ, that you are making is going to have to make me determine that whatever is fixing to happen to you, you fucking deserve it. Because what you were doing is beyond stupid. He was in the clear, and yet he goes and faces off with Cato when he knows that Cato has killed a bunch of them. Cato is the psycho of this bunch, and he's going to try to help him. So Cato kills Amber, whom was supposed to be his partner, in this little let's kill them all thing. But Cato is still running, so low on time. So Ryan is back at the camp, finds the detonator, but when she mashes, she finds the other detonator, and she's like, well, this has got to be the one that turns them all off, right? So she mashes it. Wrong. Mr. Peterson had planned for that as well, because when she did that, it didn't matter what everybody's time was. If they were like more than 8 minutes or so, they came down to 8 minutes. If you had less than 8 minutes, it stayed the same. But it sent them into sudden death. So Mr. Peterson was like, he was planned for them. And it was so mean because it's like that gave them a momentary flash of hope. We have the other detonator. Click. And then it's like, no, 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 no. And it puts them all into sudden death. So now all of them have 8 minutes or less, you know. So that was kind of fucked up. Right, it puts them into sudden death. Her and Aaron find Kato, and there's only three of they're the only three left, right? So you have Aaron and Ryan and Kato. That's the only three that are left. Ryan stabs Kato because he's like a maniac. He's like trying to hack and slash him. She ends up stabbing Kato. Her and Aaron run. Kato follows or hobbles, trying to get them. They finally stop though in the woods because, you know, Aaron and all had been told. And the super twist was that I thought it was Kato just like Ezra did, right? You know, had murdered Caleb, probably accidentally. However, 5 times, that's a lot. But Erin suddenly stops. She's all depressed. You know, she's all freaked out because her daddy was killed, right? Here. So she stops and confesses to Aaron. You know, and they know that Kato's coming. And she stops and confesses to Aaron that this has been killing her for 5 years. This whole fucking shit was done because Caleb was so smart. Caleb was the smartest guy in the class next to her. So, to ensure that he did not get to be valedictorian of the class instead of her, she had gotten into Ezra's stash at that party of ecstasy and had not known how to measure it. She didn't know what the fuck she was doing. She didn't take drugs. She was the goody two-shoes smart girl of class, right? And Caleb was the goody two-shoes smart boy. That's how his daddy knew that he did not fucking do drugs. To be found with 5 times the lethal dose of speed in his system. So, all to keep him from being valedictorian, from being her competition to be valedictorian of the class, she had got into Ezra's stash of ecstasy and had put it in his drink. But because she didn't know what the fuck she was doing, she put too much, because all she wanted to do was put enough ecstasy in his drink to make him fail a drug test so that, you know, like he would like pass out and stuff, and they would take him to the hospital, and he would be caught with all this ecstasy in his system, and he would get in trouble for it, and that would stop him from becoming valedictorian, but the bitch killed him instead, accidentally. So I'm like sitting there going, over that? What? And all this 5 years, this boy's been dead from your stupid shit, and now you're going into MIT, and you just got all your friends killed, and that's a hard, like, little monkey on your back right there to deal with, of guilt-wise. So she turns around and attacks Kato, to save Aaron, because she felt so guilty about causing all this. Kato, though, and that was like an awful kill. It was like some out of Friday the 13th Part 3. he like stabs her right through the eye on film, on screen. And that was ugly, the way he just like, and she's like had this big butcher knife sticking out of her eye. That was fucked up. But, so he starts like dancing around in a circle, like, I did it, I killed that fucking bitch, that fucking stupid bitch. And he had told Ezra before he killed him, he said, I'm telling you, I did not dose Caleb. I'm not the one who did it. But I still believed he was the one who did it. But Ryan gets one last laugh, though. I mean, she's got a big butcher knife sticking out of her fucking head. She's going to be dead in about 10 seconds. And the sound she was making was fucked up. But as he's like doing his little bruh dance, and he's all cut up and shit, but the way he's doing his little bruh dance, she crawls over to Aaron in the few seconds that she had before death, when he stabbed her. She crawled over to Aaron and instantly died in Aaron's lap, thereby giving Aaron her time instead of fucking Kato. Because whatever vest is closest to the vest of the person that dies gets the time. So to keep Kato from getting the time, she crawled into Aaron's lap and died instantly. I mean, from the time he put that knife through her head till the time she dead was approximately like 5 seconds. But so Kato turns around and sees her dead in Aaron's lap, and that just really pisses him off, He's like, what the fuck, man? I just killed the bitch, you got my time, what's up? And that's when, like, this superb ending comes about. Because now you have Kato and Aaron. And Aaron's got the gun from Ryan. And she's, like, got it aimed at it. Now, to understand it, they had all been making fun of her since high school. Because she's so timid. Because she's so quiet. She's the goody two-shoe, little goody quiet little girl. And so Kato starts throwing all that in her face. Like, fucking bitch, please. You don't have the balls. You're not going to shoot me. You've always been the weak, quiet, goody two-shoe little quiet bitch. There is no way you got the balls to shoot me, even in this situation. Go ahead. Do it. And she was like, he was like, go ahead, kill me. You don't have the guts to kill me. You don't have the balls to kill me. And that's when, and I didn't even notice it, so it was like really cool, is she goes, but I don't have to kill you. I just have to outlive you. And I've got more time. And you're like, oh. And then she shoots his knees out. Like, she shoots both of his fucking kneecaps off with that gun. Bloody, gory too. And he falls down on his knees, or what's left of them, and falls back, and he's like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah, that's right. Because, see, she had killed no one. Aaron had not killed anyone. Not even accidentally. Well, Ryan hadn't killed anyone either, except she killed fucking Caleb that caused all this, right? Ezra killed her dad. Trying to think if I think Aaron was the only innocent one at this point. They were all innocent except for Ryan at the beginning. At the end, they're all guilty except for Aaron. Yeah, because Ezra killed Ryan's dad. They didn't kill none of his friends, I don't think. Kato and Amber killed the most. So, yeah. So anyway, she blows his knees out, and he's laying there and can't move. And, she's got like 4 minutes on her timer, and he's got like a minute and 40 seconds or some shit. So I was like, oh yeah, that's right. You don't have to kill him. All you have to do, because there's only 2 of you left. So when he blows up, you'll be the winner. So she didn't have to kill him to win. She just had to outlive him to win. And I'm like, that was fucking excellent. You know, she got to stay innocent. So it, of course, creeps down. Kato, you know, over the next minute, he can't move. He's all cut up anyway from the fights and killings he's done. He's pretty much wrecked. And then it's like, you know, he's bitching and whining. Really kind of funny, actually. As it's, you know, 3, 2, 1, 0. Oh, fuck me up the ass. And boom. He blew up into, like, pieces. That was a quote. That wasn't me. That was a quote. But if YouTube's listening, that was a quote. I wasn't saying anyone should do that. That was actually what he said. So, he blows up. And then, of course, the little thing, her little vest, it starts like freaking out and smiley faces and you've won the game. And, you know, congratulations. All your friends are fucking dead and, have a happy life and shit like that. And then it deactivates. And so you're like, damn, man, Mr. Peterson was pissed about his boy. You know what I mean? But I was definitely shocked by it turning out to be Ryan that had killed Kayla accidentally with the ecstasy. And so Aaron makes it out to the road. And I guess the last funny thing of the movie, this fucking guy, this redneck, like pulls up next to her in a truck and she's like screaming, you know, like, help me, in her quiet little way. You know, help me, you know, help me, please get me back to town, call the police. All my friends have been killed, all my friends are dead. And this redneck like looks at her and he's like, looks her up and down, sees that weird device on her and shit. He looks her up and down and he's like, fuck that. And he like takes off. And she actually looks stunned, like, you know, what? And so she turns around and she says like a couple of sentences in that mealy, quiet voice. It's like, oh no, please help me. And then she like, her eyes pop open real big, like, wait, isn't this what they said was my problem all along? And that's why I'm standing here. And this redneck just left because I'm like so quiet and meek and all that. So she just starts like screaming at him like, fuck you, you fucking motherfucking piece of shit, stick it up your ass and all that kind of stuff. And then she felt better, like, I think I found my balls, and the movie ends. I'm like, yes, right. So I fucking love this movie. I fucking gave it like a 9 out of 10, you know. I love these kind of surprises when you find a movie that just trips. I'm telling you, I was on the edge of my seat like many times. And, no, you're probably like, well, what does his opinion matter? Because, man, I'm a horror fan. I've got fucking 2,400 Blu-rays and DVDs. I've seen a lot. And I'm telling you, this like tripped my trigger. I was triggered. But I really, really loved this movie. This is the most slasher-oriented, gory, horror, slasher, battle royale film I have ever seen. Were they in a battle royale? Yes. Is that the reason they were killing each other? Yes. And the fact that secretly they all fucking hated each other. All they needed was something like this to bring it to the surface. But as far as everything, the kills, everything was so psychotic. Everything was so Friday the 13th, My Bloody Valentine. The kills were all so slasher kills. Axes, knives. Nobody was shot. No, wait. No. Yeah, Ezra shot. Yeah, he did. Ezra shot Ryan's dad. And that girl shot Kato's knees out. But the dad, Ryan's dad, that's the only one that got shot with a gun. And they made that bloody enough to be in a horror movie, right? All the rest were axes and jump scares and really bloody, really gory, really practical effects. If you have not seen Triggered, I can tell you it's very easy to find on eBay. It's not that expensive. As a matter of fact, you can get this Silence of the Lambs. There's a moth in here. It's not a death's head moth, so I'm alright. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, I know for a fact though, because I looked, I got this from, maybe I didn't. I think I got it from eBay, but I did look for this video. I did look at Hamilton Books. You can get this brand new sealed for $5.95. Okay, you can get this movie from Hamilton Books for $5.95. And similar prices on eBay, $5, $6, $7. You know, this is a fucking absolute masterpiece of a little movie, indie horror film. You know what I mean? I was so surprised at how slasherific it was for a Battle Royale. And like I said, it does right now hold the prize of all that I own. Belko Experiment comes pretty damn close. But in my opinion, this movie, because of the setting, the kills, I say that this movie finally tops the Belko Experiment in being the most horrific slasher. And this is in the woods. So, this is like a camp slasher. But yeah, I can't recommend this enough. I absolutely love this movie. Triggered from 2020. Like I said, it's easy to find on eBay, and you can get it from Hamilton Books for $5.95, brand new. And so yeah, it's definitely worth having. I did look upside down, sideways, and even under Granny's skirt, trying to find a Blu-ray, and I could not find a Blu-ray anywhere. So I think it just got a DVD release, which is unfortunate. But I would love to have this on Blu-ray. I'll keep looking and seeing. I'll check Blu-ray.com and see if they ever even released one. I will see you in episode 5. Always remember, never forget, you are a very special person. This was Triggered from 2020. Don't let anyone ever tell you any different. You are a special person, even if you are not trapped in the woods with Kato and an axe and a bunch of really crazy millennials. Dialogue in this, funny as fuck. Whoever fucking made Bodies, you need to come and watch this movie, baby. That's the way you do it, and make it funny. Instead of so stupid you want to kill your whole cast. Okay? Just saying. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.